Billionaire CEO silenced by black maid. The reason surprises everyone. Shut up now. The sound slices through the cold air of the underground garage like a blade. White lights flicker off the concrete, reflected in the black Rivian R1S. Scent of rubber, oil, and ozone lingers. The gate in the distance creaks, stubborn as Eric Hart, custom-tailored suit, magazine cover face. Billionaire CEO freezes with his hand hovering over the steering wheel. He was about to dictate another message on speakerphone. He doesn't. Helena Lewis, in a spotless cleaning uniform, perfect low bun, and unwavering brown eyes, stands beside the center console. She doesn't raise her voice. She just stares at him, steady, like she's holding a building in place. "Get out," she whispers. Now. The shock is instant. The king of the tower gets an order from someone everyone pretends not to see. A security guard 20 meters away stops chewing his gum. Anne, intern, ID badge still swinging, walks by and looks away with a crooked smile. Silent humiliation, the kind that burns and lingers. Eric shuts his mouth, jaw tight. For a second, his self-portrait, the man in charge, cracks. "You? Talk to me like that?" He tries using his power tone. It comes out weak. Helena points bluntly at a detail beneath the console, a slightly misaligned plastic panel. Her ears had already caught the microinterference on the speakerphone, faint pops, noise that wasn't the IC. She cleaned this car this morning. Nothing was out of place. No door shutting. She types in her notes app, showing him the screen. Turn the radio to static. Drive like it's just a settings thing. Eric looks at her like he's staring into a void, but he obeys. He presses the button. The radio blasts AM static, a sound snowstorm. He shifts gears, moves forward a bit, reverses, leaves the driver's door slightly open. Helena does the same with the back door. The parking spot camera blinks a red LED. They get out, silent. The sound of their steps echoes, sharp. Helena walks beside him, the light scent of soap and rubbing alcohol reminding him of the hands that keep the world shiny. A poster on the wall reads, "Compliance first." Ironically, the speaker plays a glitchy corporate jingle. She turns up her phone's brightness and types one more line. Without moving her lips, "Your car's bugged. You're being listened to." Eric goes pale. Cold? Sweat breaks fast. Is this serious? "Read," she types. "I know every screw in this building." They walk away from the car's sensors, passing a concrete pillar marked with bumper scuffs. Every 3 steps, Helena glances up discreetly, checking for cameras. The wind carries the smell of gas from the generator. She presses her phone against his arm. "I heard Brienne in the event room. Clear instructions. An investigator. Useful admissions about the software failures." Code word, Bluebird. Eric swallows hard. Brienne? The name scrapes out of his throat. Ex-wife, majority shareholder. 30% and an army of lawyers. "Don't repeat names," she types. Mics pick up everything. He looks at the car. So expensive. So vulnerable. This could destroy the company. If they edit just a clip. I know. She pinches her fingers together. Short. No drama. "Now follow me." They walk to the yellow pedestrian line in the garage. A maintenance cart sits abandoned in the distance, open disposable gloves draped over a bucket. Helena notes it. "That was on the other side this morning." Details speak. "Why you?" Eric blurts out, a near whisper off-key with fear and pride. "Why would you do this for me? It's not for you." She types, "No mercy. It's for the truth. And for my job not to be used as a scapegoat when this place blows up in headlines." He bites his lip. The public mask tries to slide back on. "Okay, what do I do? Stop being predictable." She grabs his phone. a gesture that would be a crime against authority, if not for the precision, and disables the voice assistant mic. Shows him airplane mode when needed. No calls here. No messages. Just paper. Paper? He almost laughs. It's 2025. Exactly. A quick half smile. Then gone. Every leaked text starts with someone who wanted to talk too loud. The emergency door slams. In the distance, a sharp thud breaking the silence. The security guard takes 2 steps toward them, hesitates, turns back. The neon hums. The radio static continues like an opaque curtain. Eric breathes faster. Helena opens her own notes and types a list, each item like a bullet point. Walk out through the ramp like you're going to smoke. You follow me 3 steps back, phone in your pocket. Outside, we write things. Down in a notebook. We're buying one now. Tomorrow, a sweep with the tech outside the company. Trust no one until then. Not even? He leaves it hanging. The name that must not be spoken. Especially not him, she writes, and her eyes say the rest. Eric leans in, noticing the misaligned module under the console, a tiny gap. How did I not see this? Because no one expects their throne to be tampered with. She doesn't say it arrogantly. She says it with experience. I see it because I'm always on my knees cleaning the floor. Silence. He feels the weight, the invisibility that became a radar. The car beeps once, door ajar. A thin strip of dashboard light washes over the concrete. What exactly did you hear? He needs precision. He's a man of minutes and boards. Helena types fast, thumbs flying. Her voice, cold. I want useful admissions. Bluebird. A man. I plant today. Remove after the board, they said Thursday. Proxy. They laughed out they laughed. Eric repeats low, like he's tasting the bitterness of the word. She confirms with a look. A rideshare passes on the street above. Wheel shadows streak across the ramp. The sound lingers, vibrates, fades. Helena puts away her phone, pulls a small notepad from her pocket, cheap, grid paper, the kind no one notices. Hands it to him with a pen. Right, okay, if you've heard me all the way. He writes, okay. His handwriting is clean. Polished in elite schools. Now fold that, put it in your inner pocket. If they stop you, it's a shopping list. Eric breathes in, finding in her instructions a new kind of ground. Are you in charge? It's half a question, half surrender. Only until we get out of here alive. A short pause. Then you go back to being the CEO. They walk toward the ramp. Measured steps, a performance. Of normality. The static dies when the radio shuts off by itself. The Rivian realized the doors had been open too long. In the silence, the garage seems to expand. Every echo becomes a threat. Eric's phone vibrates in his pocket. He doesn't answer. He pulls it out and shows the screen to Helena. A video call from Brienne. The profile picture smiles with perfect teeth. The call timer starts flashing. Helena covers the camera with his thumb, firmly, and swipes to decline. The name vanishes. A second later, a notification pops up. No sender. Bluebird is waiting. Helena lifts her eyes. On the wall above the maintenance cart, a motorized camera that had been facing the exit is now pointed directly at them. The red LED switches to green. Don't look at it. Helena's whisper is a thread. Keep walking. They follow their own script and reach the door, leading to the street. When Eric pushes the metal bar, a high-pitched alarm rips through the garage. Emergency door alarm. The sound is too loud, too unnatural, like someone turned the volume up on purpose. Helena grabs his forearm, her subtle nails pressing into the wool of his blazer. That shouldn't go off at this hour. The door doesn't budge. A digital display above it flashes a word in red. One that hadn't been part of the building that morning call on lockdown. The blood drains from Eric's face. The alarm's echo swallows everything. Inside, the Rivian's headlights turn on by themselves. The dashboard lights up, and for a second, a blue notification crosses the car's screen. A stylized, almost childish bird. Helena takes a deep breath and, without taking her eyes off the symbol, whispers, "They already know we know." Before moving on to the next part of the story, I want to give you a quick invitation. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. It's always amazing to see how far these stories reach. And if you enjoy plots full of love, emotion, and twists, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way, you help this project grow and make sure you don't miss any of the upcoming stories I'm preparing just for you. The siren is still pulsing downstairs when the door finally unlocks. The Rivian's dashboard shuts off the Bluebird as if nothing had happened. The street air is warm, smells like gasoline and jasmine from a sidewalk garden. Helena holds Eric's arm for a second, firm, and lets go. She points to the corner where a 24-hour market spills neon light onto the sidewalk. "No phone. Paper," she says in a whisper. He nods. At a plastic table between an ice freezer and a scratch-off lottery stand, Helena opens a new notebook and writes with precision, small and technical handwriting. She organizes like someone filing. "A life. Today, 6:23 p.m. West Hall. Investor event." She pauses, listens. In the background, a bus exhales. A distant siren cuts through the Los Angeles night and fades. Helena continues. Female voice. Cold. Mentions useful admissions. Code word. Bluebird. Agenda. Plant today. Harvest by Thursday. Trigger board. Eric watches her hand swift. Helena's fingers have small cuts from handling cleaning products and rough surfaces. He feels a mix of gratitude and discomfort. Used to leading, now he follows. "I'm calling legal right now," he says, pulling his phone from his blazer pocket. "We can't wait. No." Helena's word is a break. Who else is compromised? Priya has integrity. He snaps back, jaw tight. She heads compliance. And who picks her team? Who controls IT, maintenance access, building keys? Helena looks up. If the line is dirty, we lose everything. And we become the headline they want. He takes a deep breath, pockets the phone. "What do you suggest?" "A sweep. Today. Outside the company." She writes down names she heard and details she memorized. Male. Deep voice. No strong accent. Mentions maintenance. Wiring harness. Abdi. Laughter when they mention proxy fight. Then she underlines. Likely executor. Private investigator. Free access to maintenance areas. Eric reads and feels the knot tighten. Someone gave. Access. Yes. Helena flips the page. "I know a tech who does sweeps for rideshare drivers. Discreet. Comes to the car and doesn't ask names. Cash only." She looks at his flawless suit. "You have cash, I assume?" "I do. Then we call now." "But we need the car somewhere less obvious." 20 minutes later, the Rivian exits the garage like someone just going out for a cool-down drive. Eric drives with tense hands on the wheel. Helena, in the back seat, watches everything. Rearview mirror. Parking spot camera left behind, the headlights of cars following them. They park behind a 24-hour car wash in Koreatown where hot steam rises in clouds and the asphalt is always damp. A black cat darts across the lot. The Korean sign flickers. White van pulls up unmarked. A thin man in a worn jacket opens the side door. He carries a plastic case with black foam inside, neatly arranged instruments, spectrum analyzer, RF detector, endoscope, a bundle of specialized keychains. Anti-static bags. No names, he says, not smiling. No questions. And points to the car. Key in the ignition, doors open. Phones in this bag. He offers 2 Faraday pouches. Eric hesitates. Helena takes both phones and slips them inside without ceremony, hers and his. Begin. The tech does a quick interior sweep, slow and patient. The analyzer emits a high-pitched beep near the overhead console. He removes the ceiling light panel near the speaker mics. A gray dot, coin-sized, is stuck to the structure with high-strength adhesive. 1. He says, showing the device with precision tweezers. Ambient pickup. Amateur, but effective. Helena writes silently. Location, time, component description, almost. Invisible LED, she adds. Photos later, the tech continues, slides under the dashboard with the endoscope. The cable snakes like a lighted serpent. Another beep, now near the diagnostic port. 2. He pulls something from the OBD2. Looks like a fleet tracker. Transmits telemetry and can inject basic commands. More obvious than the first. Eric clenches. His fists. How does someone get in my car twice without anyone seeing? Because simple mistakes open complex doors, Helena answers softly. And because your car is always returned by a driver no one pays attention to, the technician moves into the heart of the console. He loosens 2 screws, calmly removes an inner panel no regular car wash would access. The beeping now is constant, low, vibrating. His face changes. He grabs a slim flashlight, illuminating the cable bundle. 3. The voice comes out in a deep, concerned tone. This one's professional. He moves a bundle of wires wrapped in metallic mesh. Among them, a small slate-colored module, encapsulated in resin, is soldered into the wiring harness. The module has a flexible antenna and a microconnector plugged into the vehicle's bus. The resin covers numbers, hiding the origin. This piece is inside the harness, integrated with the CAN bus. It picks up audio and can also read and send data from the car. And it has its own data cell. No pairing with your phone. What does that mean? Eric wants a translation. It means this isn't some amateur job. Whoever installed it had a plan, time, and probably access to a technical manual that's not floating around online. Someone opened this console with the right tools. This isn't a hallway job. This takes a maintenance window. He looks up. And authorization. The silence is heavy. Washer steam lingers like fog. Helena feels her heart speed up but keeps her face neutral. Can you remove it? Eric asks. I can. But if I pull it without the proper protocol, it could send an emergency ping and upload everything it's collected. The tech points at a tiny copper trace. It has a tamper sensor. Any voltage drop or break, it screams. Then map it, photograph it, and leave it where it is, Helena decides. We're going to preserve chain of custody. She writes the words in the notebook, underlining twice. They won't say we planted anything. Eric looks at her like he's found an anchor in a storm. You're right. The technician works methodically. He takes photos with a dedicated offline camera, places numbered labels on the installation points, logs detected frequencies. He collects the 2 simpler devices in anti-static bags and seals them with tamper-proof tape, writing the date, time, and location. The third he only surrounds with colored wires, creating a reference trail so any future removal can replicate the moment. One more thing. He turns the analyzer so they can see the spectrum. This module transmits in short, random bursts. Just now, it woke up for 3 seconds and went back to sleep. That's someone listening in real time, but with a low duty cycle to stay under the radar. They're here? Eric whispers, instinctively, looking around as if the concrete might answer. Not necessarily here. The technician shrugs. But on the other And someone smiles when you take a deep breath. Halana's stomach turns. She retrieves the phones from the Faraday bags and keeps them off. Then she writes, "We didn't remove the third. We secured evidence from the other two. Tomorrow we speak to someone trustworthy, outside the company's network." Eric nods, eyes still on the encapsulated module. When was this installed? The tech thinks, studies fresh marks on the screws, the faint gleam on the metal. 2 days. Max. The industrial adhesive hasn't fully cured. Halana closes the notebook. 2 days. That lines up with the prep for today's event. Eric runs a hand over his face like he's trying to pull himself back together. Who has the power to open my maintenance schedule? Who can book a nighttime intervention without me knowing? The technician, who promised no questions, breaks his own rule. Accessing the wiring harness requires a digital key that communicates with the car's software. It's not a regular garage key. In companies like this, usually 3 people have it: the CEO, the CFO, and the head of compliance. Sometimes trusted IT in case of major repairs. Eric holds his breath. The CEO is me. I didn't authorize this. Then that leaves 2. Halana stares into the void for a second and returns to the notebook. Who else is compromised? The analyzer beeps again, short. The module in the harness responds to something invisible. A tiny LED, invisible without a flashlight, blinks once blue. Eric's phone vibrates. Even in recently deactivated airplane mode. A notification with no sender, only text. He turns the screen to Halana. "Nice sweep, Eric." She feels a chill rise up her spine. The technician looks at the LED that just blinked, then at both of them. "Whoever it is," he says quietly, "is seeing exactly what we are." Halana breathes, meets Eric's eyes, and places a hand over the closed notebook. "Now, if you call the wrong person, we lose the game." The Rivian, as if listening, lights up its dashboard on its own and displays a scheduled maintenance notification for early morning. The time, 2:17 a.m. The location, the company's own garage, and someone checked in. The tech mutters, pointing to an authorization code that flashes on the panel for a second before disappearing. Digital signature from another user. Who? Eric asks. No answer comes. Only his own reflection in the black display glass, and the feeling that, on the other side, someone is waiting for their next move. The Rivian's dashboard still displayed traces of the mysterious notification when Eric shut everything off in a rush. The car went to sleep, but the feeling of being watched didn't. His breathing was short, nervous. Halana, steady at his side, clutched the notebook to her chest like a shield. "We need someone trustworthy," she said, unwavering, and fast. Eric knew who to reach out to. He pulled a secondary phone from his pocket. No corporate apps, just an encrypted messaging channel. His fingers trembled as he typed. On the other end, a green light confirmed the connection. The screen blinked. Priya Shah. The compliance lawyer appeared on a video call, framed by the soft light of a simple lamp in her apartment. Nothing luxurious. A serious face, no makeup. Hair pulled into a ponytail. Her eyes, cold and calculating, pierced through the screen. "Eric, what channel is this? Why didn't you call me through the secure company email?" He hesitated. Halana stepped forward and answered, "Because the email is compromised." Priya frowned, leaned in as if trying to figure out who was speaking. "Who are you?" "Halana Lewis, cleaning staff." "But the person who heard everything," Eric added, voice tense. "She saved my life. And maybe the company." There was silence on the other end. Then Priya took a deep breath. "Tell me everything, but slowly." Halana showed the notes, every word, every timestamp, the Bluebird code. Priya jotted things down quickly, eyes locked on the screen. 3 devices, she confirmed. 2 already sealed, 1 still active? Yes, Eric replied. 1 inside the wiring harness. Priya closed her eyes for a moment, thinking. Then listened closely. Do not touch that module. It must be preserved as evidence. Chain of custody intact. That means logging everything in a record, filming each removal with 2 witnesses. If we don't, any court could turn against us. Eric leaned forward, exhausted. Are they listening to us right now? Probably, which means we can use that to our advantage. Helena lifted her face. A decoy. Priya smiled for the first time. Exactly. A honeypot. Leave one of the devices forgotten, still active, transmitting false signals. Craft baked phrases. Nothing truly compromising, just enough to seem valuable to whoever's listening. Let's see how far the fish bites. Eric took a deep breath. But someone else has to witness the recording, besides me and Helena. Priya nodded. Choose carefully. If we make a mistake here, everything falls apart. Hours later, already deep into the night, in the parking lot of a co-working space they'd rented in a rush, they set the scene. A basic camera recorded everything. Helena and Eric opening panels, sealing devices with date and time, describing every move in clear, firm voices. The tamper-proof tape shimmered under the fluorescent light. That's when John Lang arrived. The CFO, discreet, crisp white shirt, thin-rimmed glasses, approached with a measured step. His eyes landed on the open car, the labels, the recording. Camera, you shouldn't be doing this right now, he said, his voice low, almost paternal. These things, if taken to the board, they could escalate in a dangerous way. Eric turned to face him. Escalate for who, John? Me? Or you? John adjusted his glasses. It's not what you think. I'm just saying maybe it's better not to turn this into a spectacle. Some shareholders are already uneasy. Helena narrowed her eyes. You speak like someone who already knew everything. The CFO looked at her a second too long. I know loyalty sometimes has a price, and that some truths cost more than they seem. Eric stepped forward, furious. Are you trying to protect me or warn? And me? John gave a barely visible half smile. Depends how you interpret it. And turned his back, disappearing into the darkness of the parking lot. The silence after he left was heavier than the night itself. Helena slammed the notebook shut, the sharp sound echoing in the air. He knows too much. Priya, still on video, heard everything. Her expression hardened. Eric, if the CFO already knows about the devices and still advises against escalation, you've got a deeper internal breach than you realize. The game just changed, and their next move might be against Helena. The warning came like a shot. A notification on Helena's phone the next morning. A link, no sender. She opened it. The audio was clear, cruel, edited with surgical precision. Her voice came through, distorted by cuts, making it sound like, "You're going to pay me, or I'll tell everything." Then Eric's voice, breathing deeply, as if giving in. Helena's eyes widened in disbelief. "That's a lie. It's a fake," she whispered, but it was too late. The file was already spreading through internal company groups, and minutes later, it landed in the hands of bloodthirsty journalists. In the Human Resources office, the room smelled of stale coffee and overused paper. The HR manager, stiff-faced, didn't even give her time to sit. He hit play on the audio again, eyes avoiding hers. "Helena, the company can't risk reputational damage," he said, voice mechanical, like reading a script. "Your badge is being suspended immediately without pay until this is resolved." She stood up, body trembling. "I would never do this. You know who I am. You know my work. I've been cleaning this building for years. All I've done is protect." He looked away toward his desk. "It's not personal. It's procedure." "Procedure?" she repeated, chest heaving. "Procedure is punishing the voiceless while the real culprits hide behind expensive suits." But her words echoed into nothing. Her badge was taken from her hand like it meant nothing. Hours later, the scandal was already in online tabloids. Bold headlines screamed, "Ambitious maid tries to blackmail billionaire CEO." Her photo, pulled from the company's own site, showed her in uniform, serious face, completely out of context. In the comments, poisonous words, "Always trying to climb." The ladder like that, we all know how this story ends. Subtle, racist attacks disguised as sarcasm. Helena felt her soul being crushed. The sound of notifications mocked her innocence. Each ping brought a fresh insult. That night, she returned to Inglewood. Her mother's modest house smelled of herbs and alcohol, a mix of care and sacrifice. The small home pharmacy on the ground floor was kept running by makeshift shelves, colorful bottles, and her mother's tireless dedication. "Daughter, why do you look so broken?" her mother asked, eyes tired but firm, while organizing boxes of generic medicine. Helena tried to smile, but the tears came first. "They said I tried blackmail, that I wanted money from the boss. Mom, they destroyed my name." Her mother stopped, cupped her daughter's face with rough hands, and lifted her chin. "Look at me. You are not what they say. You are the truth they fear. They attack because you saw what you weren't supposed to. But what if no one believes me?" Helena sobbed. "What if I can never work again?" Her mother took a deep breath. "Then you rebuild, like you always have. But never forget, those who carry the truth have more enemies than friends. That's how it is for the righteous." The weight of injustice felt heavier than her body could bear. Helena, sitting on the pharmacy bench, stared at the bottles of cheap medicine, remembering every night she gave up her own dreams to help her mother keep the doors open. She thought about giving up. That's when her phone buzzed, sliding across the Formica counter. A new message. No sender. Just one sentence. "You shouldn't have said the word bluebird." Helena's heart froze. She looked up at the pharmacy door, where the sign flickered in weak red. Across the street, a black car that had been parked too long suddenly turned on its headlights, illuminating her face through the glass. The black car still sat shining across the street when Helena closed the pharmacy curtains with trembling hands. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she knew she couldn't back down. That same night, Eric called Priya through an encrypted channel. His voice urgent. "This is bigger than we thought. We need to look at the access logs for vehicle and building maintenance." Priya, her face serious, opened multiple files on her secure laptop. The screens lit up her features, every line filled with focus. "Eric, look at this." Someone granted high-level permissions to an external consultant. Name of the pie. Sam North. Eric leaned back in his chair, stunned. Sam North. The same one Helena heard mentioned? Exactly. Priya turned her screen toward him. And the one who granted access was John Lang, the CFO. A heavy silence filled the room. The shock hit like a stone. Eric clenched his fists. I trusted him. John was always cold, but loyal. If he betrayed us, then he's on the other side. Helena, watching quietly from the corner, spoke softly. Or maybe he didn't have a choice. The next morning, John was discreetly called into a private room in the adjacent building. The glass walls had the blinds drawn. Eric was already there, beside Priya. Helena watched silently. Notebook in hand. John entered, upright posture, but his eyes held a deep weariness. When he saw the documents on the table, he turned pale. You authorized maintenance access for Sam North. Eric didn't hold back. Explain yourself. The CFO adjusted his glasses, trying to stay composed. It's an administrative error. Someone used my credentials. Priya cut in sharply. Don't lie. We have biometric logs. It was you. Fingerprint, personal token. John took a deep breath, the mask slowly falling. I didn't have a choice. Helena leaned forward, alert. What did they do to you? His eyes trembled. Finally, he looked down. My brother. He needs an experimental treatment. Expensive, not covered by insurance. They knew. They found my weaknesses. They threatened to cut hospital access if I didn't cooperate. Dirty money started appearing in my account, disguised as consulting payments. It wasn't a choice. It was blackmail. Eric gripped the edge of the table. Who, John? Who's behind it? The CFO lifted tear-filled eyes. For the first time, the calculating man looked human. It wasn't just Brienne. She's being used too. The real order came from above, from a shell company. The name is Bluebird Capital LLC. Priya wrote down every word, eyes cold, but heart racing. Bluebird. The same code Brienne used. John continued, voice breaking. They pressured me to open doors only I could open. I knew Sam North would exploit those breaches, but if I refused, my brother would die. I dug the hole with my own hands. Helena answered firmly, and while you accepted their blackmail, you threw all of us into that hole. Tears finally fell from John's eyes. He took off his glasses, shaking. I'm an accomplice. But I'm also a hostage. Eric said nothing, torn between anger and compassion. Then he stood and declared, now you're going to help us turn this around. If Bluebird thinks they can use our lives as currency, they're going to have their mask ripped off. John nodded, broken but resolved. I'll hand over everything I have, documents, transactions, contacts, but I need protection. They won't let me live if they find out I talked. Priya slowly closed her laptop. Welcome to the side with more to lose than to gain. From this point on, every word you say can save or destroy. At that moment, Helena's phone vibrated. A new anonymous message appeared on the screen, no sender. Just 3 words. Bluebird already knows. She looked up, a chill running down her spine. Outside the room, a shadow stopped in front of the glass, watching through a gap in the blinds. The shadow vanished like a fleeing ghost, but the message on Helena's phone still burned. Bluebird already knows. That night, she returned to Inglewood in silence, not answering any of Eric's calls. 2 days later, a black car parked quietly on a street of modest homes where kids still played on bikes under flickering streetlights. Eric stepped out, a far cry from the polished executive everyone knew. No suit, just a light shirt with the sleeves rolled up, his face tired but determined. He knocked on the door of a small blue house. Helena's mother, wearing an apron, opened and recognized him. Her eyes narrowed, her voice flat. She's in the back room. If you came to bring more pain, turn around. Eric lowered his head. I came to ask for forgiveness. She hesitated, then stepped aside. The scent of chamomile tea and alcohol filled the house. In the room, Helena sat at a narrow desk. Around her, stacks of receipts neatly filed, printed shift maps with handwritten notes, a bulletin board with lines connecting cleaning schedules to executive movements. Everything meticulous. Proof that her memory didn't just store details, she recorded them. Built an invisible narrative. Eric stood silent for a moment, staring at the board. My God, you documented everything. Who came in, who left, even the minutes when maintenance routes were changed. Helena didn't look at him. She kept sorting receipts. When you're invisible, you learn to see what others ignore. It's the only way to survive. He stepped closer, his voice low. I should have defended you. Instead, I let the company suspend you without even hearing your side. That was cowardly. She looked up, her eyes firm, no tears this time. It was convenient. It's always easier to sacrifice the ones already living on the edge. Eric felt the sting of her words. He moved closer but kept a respectful distance. I want to make it right. I brought a lawyer I trust, outside the company. He'll represent you and make sure no false accusation ruins your life. You're not alone. Helena took a deep breath, looked away. Justice doesn't pay my bills, Eric. But my dignity? That's not for sale. He nodded, recognizing her strength. I'm not here to buy your loyalty. I'm here to ask you to walk with me, not as a subordinate, but as a witness. You saw what no one else did. You heard what no one else had the courage to. Without you, there is no case. Silence hung for a moment. Then Helena stood. The light from the lamp caught her face, steady and radiant. If it's to fight, we'll fight together. But don't mistake gratitude for anything else. I'm not a charity case. I'm the key you need. Eric held his breath in front of her strength. Their eyes met, long seconds of tension. A new respect was born there, deeper than words. He lowered his voice. I understand. For the first time, I understand. She closed a folder firmly, like a period. Then start listening. Because their next move will be even more brutal, and it won't be against you. It'll be against everyone who dares to stand with you. A loud crack echoed from the street, the sharp sound of glass shattering. Helena's mother screamed from the living room. They both ran to the door and saw Eric's car, the side window destroyed. A brick lay on the seat, wrapped in newspaper. In red capital letters, "Stay quiet or pay." The broken glass still shimmered on the Inglewood asphalt as Helena picked up the newspaper with a threatening message. The street's silence screamed louder than any siren. Eric held the note with contained rage. Priya, called urgently, arrived minutes later, her eyes hard like she'd already seen the next move coming. This isn't just a warning, she said, examining the bundle. It's a response. The honeypot worked. Someone took the bait. From the tracking of the fake device, Priya managed to follow the data trail to an abandoned warehouse on the industrial outskirts of Los Angeles. A forgotten place, broken windows, overgrown weeds. But inside, the darkness hid a pulsing network. Rows of servers, cables strewn across the floor, screens showing endless lines of code and stored recordings. Eric looked around, the sound of industrial fans humming in the air. This is where they edited everything, including the audio that ruined Helena's life. Helena walked between the racks, eyes sharp. They stored the instructions here too. Nothing happens without leaving a trace. It was Priya who found the most revealing digital folder. Among spreadsheets and shell contracts, a name appeared that made everyone hold their breath. Bluebird Capital, LC. It wasn't just a code. It was a real entity, used as a front to disguise investments from an international competitor. My God, Eric murmured, flipping through the printed documents. They used Brienne as a pawn. She thought she was leading the game, but she was just the puppet. That same night, in a luxury hotel suite in Beverly Hills, Eric and Helena confronted Brienne. She arrived flawless in a minimalist black dress, but her eyes revealed fatigue and tension. You spied on me? Brienne asked, trying to maintain her authority. Eric slapped the documents on the table. No. We found the truth you chose to ignore. You were used. Bluebird Capital was never your ally. They just needed you to start a proxy fight and take me down. You're nothing but a scapegoat. Her face lost color. Brienne sank into her chair, as if her legs couldn't hold her. They promised me protection. If I cooperated, they said the regulatory investigation wouldn't touch me. I just wanted to protect my legacy. Helena stepped forward, steady. And for that, you destroyed my name? Painted me as a blackmailer? Didn't you realize you were a target too? They recorded you laughing, conspiring. They'll toss you out like garbage the second you're no longer useful. For a moment, the unbreakable woman showed her cracks. Brienne's hand trembled on her glass of water. I couldn't lose everything. Not after so many years by your side, Eric. I couldn't be reduced to nothing. Eric replied, bitter. And in the process, you almost destroyed us all. It was Helena who unlocked the next key. She recalled a seemingly minor detail. Wait, weeks ago, on the exec car's dashboard, there was a sticker with serial numbers. I cleaned it, but I memorized it. Those numbers match the same batch as the module we found in the harness. Priya confirmed, scanning data on her tablet. That completes the technical chain. It proves the devices came from the same source tied to Bluebird Capital. Undeniable. Brienne buried her face in her hands, defeated. I'm just another victim. Helena shot back sharp. No, victims don't have a choice. You did, and you chose wrong. Suddenly, a notification blinked on Eric's phone. A short message, no sender, but crystal clear as a threat. Next move. The board. Eric looked at Helena and Priya. The air felt heavier, like the conspiracy was already in the room. The phone still glowed with the threat. Next move. The board. When Eric realized there was no more time to wait. 2 days later, the companies. Headquarters turned into a battlefield. The boardroom, with glass windows overlooking the Los Angeles skyline, was packed. Activist shareholders sat in rows, laptops open, ready to document every second. At the back, an external digital forensics team had set up a command center, monitors, cables, cameras ready to prove or destroy reputations. Eric entered in a gray suit, face set, though his eyes showed unease. Beside him, Helena walked with measured steps, wearing a borrowed blazer. She still carried the weight of the headlines that called her an ambitious maid. Whispers swept through the room when she entered. Some chuckled quietly. Others looked at her with disdain. Brienne sat at the head of the table, flawless as always, but the tension betrayed her perfect lipstick. John stood at the back, discreet, like a man trying to disappear. And Sam North, the investigator, sat with arms crossed, too confident for someone with so much to lose. It was Priya who opened the meeting. Standing tall, voice calm, she projected the timeline onto the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, what's at stake today isn't just the reputation of a CEO or the alleged conduct of an employee. It's the integrity of this company in the eyes of the world. She began laying out every detail, dates, times, audio. She showed how the recordings had been manipulated with surgical cuts. Here, observe the spectral pattern. This is the same noise signature found in illegal editing software. One of the shareholders interrupted, skeptical. With all due respect, Ms. Shah, what proof do we have that it wasn't this young woman? He pointed at Helena, who tampered with the material. Helena's heart pounded. Eric stood, but she spoke first, firm. Because while I scrubbed floors and picked up trash, I documented every detail I saw. And because I didn't have access to the internal servers. They did. They opened the doors for intruders. The murmurs grew louder. Priya seized the moment. And here's the maintenance log. She projected the document, every access marked with John's fingerprint under Bluebird's pressure. We also have footage of the device removals, all done under protocol. Everything recorded with witnesses. The footage played. Eric, Helena, and the technician removing the devices, sealing them, reading out loud for the record. Every move time dash stamped. The blow landed. A heavy silence fell over the table. Brienne tried to regain control. This doesn't mean but Priya cut her off. It means they used your name to cover for a planted competitor, and that every second of those recordings is proof of a coordinated manipulation, not just against Eric, against all of us. Then Sam tried to stand, his voice too calm. I wasn't part of this. I was just hired for a separate investigation. My job was lies, Eric said, slamming his hand on the table. We have payment records from accounts tied to Bluebird Capital. And every time you speak, you contradict yourself. One of the forensic analysts stood with a tablet in hand. Here are the transfers. Sam North received 3 separate payments, all disguised as consulting, but directly linked to the fake contract. For the server warehouse. Sam tried to pivot. That doesn't prove I edited anything. Alana stepped forward, voice steady. It proves you went where you shouldn't, tampered with what you couldn't, and thought no one would notice. But I did. I see what you people miss. The cameras caught the hardening of his face. Sam stood, but 2 security guards had already stepped in. Tension erupted as he was restrained, his chair toppling to the floor. The flashes from reporters, discreetly allowed in, lit up the scene. The board chair cleared his throat, voice firm. Let it be entered into the record. Mr. Sam North will be turned over to the appropriate authorities. Alana took a breath, but the weight didn't ease. Because despite the partial victory, everyone knew Bluebird was still out there. And the entire board had just become targets in a much bigger war. The echoes of Sam North's arrest were still making headlines when the news broke. Bluebird Capital under federal investigation. The investment firm's facade crumbled on camera, exposing a ruthless competitor willing to destroy reputations to seize control. The next day, the company's headquarters felt like a different place. Security reinforced at the doors, reporters crowding outside. John, always quiet, was called in to testify. The board offered him a deal, return questionable bonuses, and cooperate. He accepted, visibly emotional. I only wanted to protect my family. I never realized I was helping an enemy. For his cooperation, he was allowed to stay. Brienne, on the other hand, watched her influence collapse. In a closed meeting, she confessed through tears. I believe their promises of protection. I was used. She agreed to help reduce the fallout. The once arrogant woman now looked simply human. Days later came the most anticipated moment. Alana, standing beside Eric before the press. He spoke first. We made a serious mistake. We wrongfully accused someone who was always loyal. Publicly, we apologize. Silence turned into applause. Then Alana stepped forward and said, I didn't fight for revenge. I fought for the truth. I accept the role of leading the integrity and oversight program so that every voice is heard. Justice begins when we choose not to stay silent. Her words moved even the skeptics. The image of the invisible woman was now one of leadership. Backstage, Eric approached her. Alana, I can't keep hiding what I feel. She turned away. This isn't the time. We're still in the storm. He touched her hand gently. Then let it be. In silence. First us, then the world. In the days that followed, the bond between them grew quietly. Knowing glances, discreet messages. Until they decided to go public in a simple way, arriving together at a charity dinner, hands intertwined. The drama gave way to a new chapter. But behind the flash of the cameras, one question still lingered. How far could the reach of an unmasked enemy go? Months had passed since the dark days when the company almost collapsed. Now the Los Angeles headquarters pulsed with new energy. Reports showed stable profits, but the greatest victory was the reputation earned from their ethics and privacy policies, making the company a reference in the industry. The scars of the scandal had turned into a symbol of resilience. At the community event in Inglewood, employees, residents, and local leaders gathered in a festive atmosphere. Eric stepped onto the improvised stage, eyes steady but filled with emotion. At his side, Helena, in a simple blue dress, radiated calm and immediate respect. Eric took a deep breath and declared, "What saved our company wasn't contracts or numbers. It was learning to listen to the people the world refuses to see." The words struck like a revelation. He continued, "We confused power with truth, but we've learned that humility, listening, and courage are worth more than any behind the scenes." Game. Applause echoed. Helena then raised the microphone. "Truth doesn't need to be shouted. It needs to be processed. Greatness isn't found in the loudest voice, but in recognizing the worth of those who've always been there. I was invisible until someone chose to see me." Her words moved everyone. Employees who once kept their distance came closer. A woman from the community hugged her, saying, "You gave voice to all of us." Eric watched in silence, realizing Helena's beauty came from her strength, a strength that refused to be silenced. When she stepped down from the stage, he took her hand. "In front of everyone, you're not just part of my life. You're my partner in life and in business." The audience rose to their feet, not for the company, but for the gesture of recognition. Their walk through the lit-up square marked not an ending, but a beginning. Still on the horizon remained the reminder that the world of business never sleeps and that new chapters of struggle and love awaited them. And so we reach the end of this story of courage, struggle, and redemption. But now I want to hear from you. What did you think of this story full of twists and turns? Drop your rating from 0 to 10 in the comments. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to catch the next stories. And before you go, I've already queued up a brand new tale, even more emotional, one that's sure to touch every heart. Don't miss it.